Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lora Rolling and this is part 11 of the Santa and his Reindeer ornament tutorial. This is the Santa and his Reindeer ornament that we are making. It is so cute and Christmassy and colorful. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And today we are going to be making the unit called Snow Falling. If you haven't seen parts 1 through 10 yet, that's okay. You can do these out of order. I'll have those videos listed down below in the description. That way when you finish this one, you can go back and watch those. We just have a few materials to get ready, so let's get them listed and then we can get started. Let's go. So the beads that we'll be using in today's video are all Miyuki Delicas. I have opaque light sapphire and white pearl AB. I'm just going to call this blue and white. We'll also need some beading thread and a beading needle. I like to use the Eslon Fire thread in the color Crystal, and this is a 4-pound thread, but you could also use a 6-pound thread in this project. And then I like to use the size 10 beading needle. If all you have is an 11 or a 12, that would work too. For implements, I like to use my long nose pliers to hold on to my thread at the end of the video, and then I cut my thread with scissors. And then today I'm going to show you how I use the fire method to end the tail. So all we need to do is thread our needle with about 3 feet of thread, and then we can get started. So now I've threaded my needle and now I'm ready to pick up my first 3 beads. Let's pick up 3 blue beads. And then we're going to take these 3 beads and we're going to pull them down to the bottom of the thread, leaving about a 6-inch tail. Now let's tie a square knot. So cross over on the top and then pull your tail through, and then cross over on top again and pull the tail through. So now you should have 2 loops that looks like a little snowman. Now what I like to do is put my 2 fingers in the lower loop, the one that has the beads in it, and then I'm going to tug on the tail and on the long thread until that top loop turns into a knot. Now, I'm not going to touch the tail to the flame, but I am going to get it super close so it melts the tip. And it turns it into this teensy little knot or bead. So now, keeping my fingers in that loop, I'm going to be pulling on the long thread and twisting the loop at the same time until that little knot at the end of the tail touches the long thread. Now I'm going to take my thumbnail and pull that knot all the way down to the beads. And your knot might be right in the middle of the 2 beads. What you want to do is just tug it to one side so that it looks like the knot is coming out of one of the beads. And it looks like the thread is coming out of that bead as well. And that completes row number 1. So let's pick up 2 more beads. For row number 2, we'll start with 2 blue beads. And now it looks like we're coming out of this bead right here. So we're going to sew through the bead that it doesn't look like the thread is coming out of. So we're going to sew through that next bead. And then we're going to try to get those new beads to sit right on top of the ones that are below it. I like to call those lower beads the buddy beads. So the new beads are sitting right on top of their buddies. And now we're ready to pick up 2 more blue beads. Now our thread is coming out of this bead. Let's sew through the next bead. And making sure that our new beads are sitting right on top of their buddies. Now we'll pick up 2 more blue beads. And we're coming out of this bead, so let's sew through the next. And this time we're going to sew through the buddy that's right below the bead. When we sew through 2 beads like this, what we're doing is stepping up, putting our thread in position to start the next row. So we're stepping up to the next row. And this completes row number 2. Let's start row number 3 by picking up 2 blue beads. And we're coming out of this bead. Let's sew through the next bead. Trying to get those beads to sit right on top of their buddies. And now let's pick up 1 blue bead. We're coming out of this bead, the second one. If you notice, the next one is set downward a little bit. We're going to skip the one that's set downward. We're going to sew through the one that's poking up. So we're skipping the downward bead and we're sewing through the up bead. Now let's pick up 2 blue beads and sew through the next bead. Then 1 blue. We're going to skip the down bead and sew through the up bead. Now let's pick up 2 blue beads and sew through the next. And now let's pick up 1 blue bead. This is the last bead in row number 3. So we're skipping the down bead and we're going to sew through the up and also sew through its buddy. Sewing through those last 2 beads means we've completed this row, and now we get to start row number 4. Let's start with 2 blue beads and sew through the next. Then 1 blue and sew through the up. 1 blue and sew through the up. 2 blue beads and sew through the next. 1 blue and sew through the up. 1 white bead and sew through the up. 2 blue beads and sew through the next. 1 blue and sew through the up. And 1 blue and sew through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 5. Let's start with 2 blue beads, then 1 blue, one blue, one blue, two blue beads, one blue, one white, one white, two blue beads, one blue, one blue, and one blue. Sewing through the last 2 beads, and now we get to start row number 6. Let's start with 2 blue beads, one blue, one blue, one blue, one blue, two blue beads, one blue, one blue, one white, one blue, two blue beads, one blue, one blue, one blue, and one blue. Sewing through the last 2 beads, and now we get to start row number 7. Let's start with 1 white and 1 blue. One blue, one blue, one blue, one blue, one white, two blue beads, one blue, 1 blue, 1 white, 1 white, 1 blue, 2 blue beads, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, and 1 blue. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 8. Let's start by picking up 1 white and 1 blue. One blue, one blue, one white, one blue, one white, one white, two blue beads, one blue, one blue, one blue, one white, one blue, one blue, two blue beads, one blue, one blue, one blue, one blue, one blue, and one white. Sewing through the last two beads. And now we get to start row number 9. Let's start with 2 blue beads, one blue, one blue, one blue, one blue, one blue, one white, one blue, 2 blue beads, 1 blue, 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 2 blue beads, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, and 1 white. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 10. Let's start with 2 blue beads, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 white, 1 white, 1 blue, 2 blue beads, 1 blue, 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 2 blue beads, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 white, and 1 white. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 11. Let's start with 2 blue beads. One blue, one blue, one blue, one blue, one blue, one blue, one white, one blue, one blue, two blue beads, one blue, 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 one white, two blue beads, one blue, 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 one white, and one blue. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 12. Let's start with 2 blue beads, one blue, 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 1 blue, 2 blue beads, 1 blue, 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 1 white, 1 white, 2 blue beads, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 white, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, 1 blue, and 1 blue. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And that completes our 12 rows for our triangle. Now, if this is the first triangle that you've done with me, you'll see that I add connecting beads to some of the sides of our units. That's so that our units can connect together. And every unit is different. This particular unit, we are going to have no connecting beads on this side. We are going to have connecting beads on this side, and we're not going to have any on the top. And we also like to cap our corners. So let's do that first. Let's cap this first corner with 1 blue bead. And now that we don't have any connecting beads to add on this side, what I like to do is turn my unit over, and I'm going to start sewing up 1 bead at a time, 1 row at a time, following this quadrant line until I get all the way up to this bead right here. And you can follow and sew in the same beads as me if you want to, or you can just pick random beads as long as you're hiding your thread and you make it all the way up to that top bead. That's really what matters. So since this triangle is called Snow Falling, this is where I usually ask the question of the day, or I do an emoji of the day. So let's do a snow emoji in the comments this time. If you'll just take a moment and put in the comments that snow emoji or a whole bunch of snow, that would be fun too, right? And that lets me know that you've gotten this far in the video, that you're enjoying it. I just love to see those comments. And of course, you can put comments in that comment section as well. I just love to see those comments from you. Alrighty, and also if you haven't yet, make sure that you like if you are liking this video, and subscribe if you want to see more. Alrighty, we are almost up at the top. So now we're coming out of this top corner bead. So let's cap this corner with 1 blue bead. And now we get to start adding our connecting beads along this side. So let's start with one blue, 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 one white, and one blue. Now we are up at our third and last corner, so let's cap it with one blue bead. Now let's sew up 6 more rows, one bead at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're coming out of the top of this bead. I'm going to do what I like to call a zigzag. So let's sew down the bead right next to the one that we're coming out of. And then sew up the bead right next to that one. That zigzag makes this last bead a little more secure so it won't get loose. Let's sew up 2 more rows, 1 and 2, and then we can do 1 more zigzag. So we're coming out of the top of this bead. Let's sew down the bead right next to it and up the bead right next to that one. And then up 2 more rows, 1 and 2. Now those 2 zigzags, a little weaving through our beads, made this last bead extra secure. It's not going to come loose when we tug on it and when we connect our units together. So I feel good about that. So let's cut off our thread now. Let's pick up our thread with our long nose pliers and then get our scissors as close to the bead as possible without cutting the bead, and then just snip off that thread. And that completes our unit. We only need 1 of these snow falling units for the project, so I will see you in a second. That was so much fun. Thank you so much for being here with me today and beading along with me. Remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell button so you're notified when the next video comes out. I can't wait to see you there. Thanks for watching.